Hello, folks. I'd like to say I was a former nuclear submariner on the Polaris fleet, which is the equivalent of the Trident missile system at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, the immediate predecessor and part of the 50 years of continuous at-sea deterrent that we've still got. Yes. And in theory, and as is published, we have one submarine on patrol all the time, 24 hours a day, and that has been unbroken since the nuclear defence came into operation in the mid-60s. Now, the basis of the sort of mutually assured destruction that was in operation now and when I was serving was against the Russians, because that was the big Cold War enemy at the time, was that they won't fire at us because they know if they do, we'll reply, because it was supposed to be only a reply weapon, a second strike weapon, never a first strike weapon, and then that would be the end of the world. But that only works on the basis, you think, a sane... Because, in the people of Russia, the people of the Soviet Union themselves were saying, even if they had some crackpot leaders in the same way that, say, some Western governments do now,
yes.
It only works on the basis that they don't want to end the world. Because even if they let fly with their missiles, and they have airborne, they have land-based, and they have nuclear submarine-based weapons, so they have the full triad of nuclear deterrent, that only works on the basis that they think they can fire those missiles, or because they know the impact of them. The missiles, once they explode, will contaminate the world and make the world an unlivable place.
So when you were serving then, what did you think the point of it all was?
I was young, and I genuinely believed. It
wasn't a personal question. Well, it was a personal question, but it wasn't a criticism. I was just genuinely curious.
I criticised myself because I was young, I was impressionable, and when you immerse yourself in a single ideology, you could say we have that comparison directly now with the B-word situation.
Yeah.
When you immerse yourself and you don't hear any contrary views at all,
of course.
you just
go
think,
along with
this
it.
is all I hear. This is 100%. This is what everybody believes. And when you have significant world leaders, at the time Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher were my gaffers, if you like, ultimately, or Her Majesty the Queen, which is a separate issue. She's not involved in it. When you had the Prime Minister of the UK who would then write a letter to the head of the captain of every nuclear submarine, and then that's locked away in a safe, would never to be opened, unless you had the direct order to fire, which came from the UK, and worse than that, we also monitored the airwaves, one of which was long-wave women's hour, because that long-wave radio transmissions are the ones that you can still pick up pretty much all over the world with a type of detection we have on a submarine, even when you're dived. The idea was, if you don't receive a regular communication from the UK, you then captain has to make a decision himself. Does that mean there has already been a nuclear strike? And at that point, he's allowed to open the letter. And in that letter, in theory, there's one of two options, which is I, the Prime Minister of the UK, authorise you to let fly with all your weapons, say goodbye to your children, kiss your ass goodbye. And then once you've let the weapons go, it's the end of the world. And then you just tootle off. And in our case, we all used to discuss which sunny island are we going to go and sit and wait for the inevitable death from the nuclear cloud.
Well, I nearly nicknamed the last caller Chuckles, but I'm glad I saved it for you, Martin.
Oh, thank you. Well, the other thing is the deterrent does not work, as you alluded to earlier, against an insane opponent or someone with a crazy ideology.
Looking at the world today, out of all the prominent leaders of major nuclear powers, which one do you think would be most likely to...
There is, without doubt, in my mind, 100%, and this is from a qualified view, as a nuclear submariner on deterrent patrols, Donald Trump is the biggest risk that we have to stability at the moment, because he only listens to the advisors that he thinks are going to tell him what he wants to hear, or that he thinks will make him popular. And I genuinely believe if he has an advisor who is on the extreme end of violence, who says to him, Mr. President, we need to loose these weapons just now as a small first strike, then and that way we can deter whatever it is that's happening at the time. I think he genuinely would initiate that process.
There is one. You made me late for the news. The last two calls have been absolutely unbelievable. But I got some words of comfort for you, Martin.
Thank you.
Is that he wouldn't do that without Vladimir Putin's permission.
Oh dear.
It's 12. Go on. I've got to crack on. What an amazing call. Thank you so much.